Hello and welcome to the weekly BB Bobcat Breakdown, where a couple of Texas State students dive into the details of Texas State athletic events that occur each week. With that in mind, the way to learn is by listening, the way to listen is by learning, and the only way to start is by starting. So let's get into it. I'm your host, Luke Fox. I'm a sophomore here at Texas State University, and I'm majoring in electronic media.
Hello, Bobcats. My name is Jacob Barnett. I'm majoring in electronic media, and I'm a junior.
Hi, Bobcats. My name is Jasmine. I'm a senior here at Texas State and I'm majoring in electronic media.
Hello, Bobcats. My name is Audrey Pacias. I am majoring in electronic media and I'm a senior here at Texas State.
Alrighty, so let's get into this. So overall, unfortunately, there has been a massive losing week for Texas State all around, whether it be football, soccer, volleyball, all around losing streak. Very unfortunate for Texas State. And so the order in which we're going to be going for is our first game is going to be the football loss to the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Next up, we have the devastating soccer loss against the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. Next up, we have the Texas State tennis played in the ITA Texas Regional Championships. And then finally, we're going to go and see volleyball, and they went 1-1 against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. All right, so let's get into this. Our first game, football. Texas State played against Louisiana Raging Cajuns. This happened October 7th. This was an away game at the Cajun Stadium. The score of this game was 30-34, so with a Louisiana winning by 4 points. And then what do you guys think that was the result of Texas State losing for this game?
So personally, we Texas State definitely had this in the bag. We were leading like pretty much the whole game, and then I think at the end we just fumbled, and it was just very disappointing because, like I said, like this should have been a game that we would have won, you know. But I think I'm not too sure what happened at the end, but we fumbled.
Yeah, just going off, piggybacking off of what he just said. The Bobcats, they're a great team. They just had to make sure they had to execute all the way throughout the game, make sure they um, get their feet there, make sure they grab the ball, hold on to the ball, so we don't force those fumbles, which caused us to end up losing that game. We had three fumbles that game, and we were only able to recover two of those, and that last one resort to us losing against Louisiana.
Just to bring some light to the Bobcat offense, we ended off with a 530 yards with contributions from TJ Finley with the 30 of 40 with 326 passing yards and two touchdowns against one interception. Not to mention, he also became the first Texas State quarterback to have back-to-back games of 300 plus yards passing since Damian Williams in 2017. So although things did go wrong at the end of the fourth quarter with Louisiana blocking a punt, the Bobcats fumbled the ball on their final drive of the game. These two events just completely flipped the script. Like, I didn't even know what page we were on at this point, to be honest with you. Like Jacob said, we did have it all in the beginning, but I mean, towards the end, there's those little mistakes that you can't be making because it does cost you the whole entire game.
Yeah, to add on to that, going into that first half, we were winning, or Texas State Bobcats were winning 20-14. And then by the end of the game, Louisiana was really able to just get on their game, and they just made less mistakes. Texas State had interception thrown, they had fumbles lost, and they just started making mistakes. They got sloppy, and that was kind of really seen we in these last couple of games that we've like talked about for Texas State playing in football. And that's kind of really evident is that like this last game, they were just dominating in that first game or first half against Southern Miss, and then they just completely lost it. Again, going into that second half, they just got sloppy. They just started making mistakes, and they just couldn't. I guess they just lost their energy, and that was just really apparent right here going into this Louisiana game. So it's interesting to see how this will kind of contribute to future games where they're going against possibly tougher opponents. Will they, if they don't have such a strong beginning, will they have any chance to really come back in this later game? Yeah, like you were saying, TJ Finley just absolutely doing amazing with 326 yards and two touchdowns compared to Zion Chris with 205 yards and three touchdowns. So over 100 yards difference right there. Rushing is Mel Mahdi with 188 yards and one touchdown compared to Zion Chris once again with 67 yards, tripling the yards right there. And then receiving Joey Hobart, who's been absolutely doing amazing these past couple of games with 132 yards compared to Robin Williams, 90 yards. So overall, looking at this, we're seeing that Texas State just dominated in every single, whether it be receiving, passing, or rushing, they got more yards. But at the end of the game, it really just comes down to who can score those points. And Louisiana was able to, with fewer yards, score those points and just resulting in the win. What do you guys think about that?
So actually, I was gonna mention something. So I know in the last podcast you mentioned that we had actually gone against Raging Cajuns a few years back, and we had lost pretty badly. I think it was 40-13, and I think the scoring now shows just how evident our team has gotten better. Because like right now we're more head to head, and we were actually beating them for a while. So I think that just shows also just how better our team's gone, and um, oh yeah, I was gonna say also, even though we were in the lead though, Raging Cajuns were like right behind us the whole time. So like they were keeping up pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Louisiana has a great team overall. It's just like you said, when it comes down to those last seconds, those last minutes of the game, you have to know what team. You have to be disciplined and make sure you don't make those small mistakes, so that way we can, or the team can come out with a great win.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, like we've all been saying, there's lots of good things to say about this game, but there's also unfortunately a lot of bad things as well. But at the end of the day, it really does come down to the mistakes that they made and how they're going to bounce back from that in preparation for ULM this week, especially it being, homecoming week. We got from some family coming in, some parents, alumni. They really do expect a lot out of these Bobcats, and I do believe that they can take it all the way.
Yeah, and the Louisiana coach, Michael Desmarais, I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that last name right, but he actually said that for the last 2 years, I've been waiting for us to have a win like this, and that was one that was well earned, and so that's just powerful right there. Their team right now doing really well. They're right now 4-2, and Texas State's also at 4-2, so they're right now tied in terms of how this season is going for them. And just a very powerful quote of saying, "Hey, we knew this would be a tough game going into it, but we put up a good fight and we beat them fair and square." And really looking at this game, I can't agree with them more. I think that their team really played well, and though they were losing in that first half, they kept their game up high and were able to come back and have just an amazing comeback and win for their season, making them 4-2. So let's go into this next game. Our next game is going to be Texas State versus Louisiana, or this is for football. Our next game for football is Texas State versus Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. This will be happening October 14th at 6 p.m. So make sure to show up for that. That is going to be a home game at the Bobcat Stadium. That'll be, once again, October 14th, 6 p.m. That is tomorrow. And just a couple details about the tailgate. The tailgate central is sold out. So other groups are planning a tailgate this Saturday and will be located at the Spring Lake or at the UEC lot. So just keep in mind that there are no stakes allowed in these areas due to the irrigation. But yeah, if you have any more questions about tailgating or anything like that, you can contact game tickets at texasstate.edu.
Also, Texas State Bobcat football homecoming throwback game is coming soon, and the athletic department has something special for fans. There's Adidas Southwest Texas throwback replica jerseys available. Check it out in the Bobcat fan shop.
Yeah, and just a couple more details about the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. Right now, for their season, they're going 2-3, and they just had a devastating loss, 7-55 against South Alabama, which is no surprise. South Alabama is absolutely an opponent that's hard to go against. And they also lost 40-41 to App State. So just a 1 point difference. That is just a really rough loss, 40-41. So they're going off on a little bit of a losing streak, but we'll see how Texas State can really compete against Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. I'm predicting that Texas State should have a win. I think it'll be a close game though, absolutely.
By far, absolutely. I mean, statistically speaking, they are 0-2 in the Sun Belt Conference. So, I mean, that alone kind of speaks for itself. But they are, like you said, Luke, they are coming off of a upsetting loss of 55-7 to South Alabama Jaguars. Not to mention they've never won a game against ULM in the previous 4 matchups where they met up. And, the Jaguars just held off the Warhawks, only 1 touchdown of the game at the end of the first half. But coming into this weekend's game for the Bobcats, Coach DJ Kenny did comment on all these questions about Ismail Mahdi. He's just a sophomore. He has 493 rushing yards over the last 3 games after running his career high of 188 last Saturday. He's making highlight plays for one of the nation's most exciting teams. And Coach Kenny said, "We have a super talented football team that is just right there. He's a real tough guy and he's got a lot of talent, and we're a different team with him out there." So what are your guys' predictions about Mahdi coming into the ULM game?
Yeah, so looking at Amadi, man, absolutely. Just looking at these last 2 games, his receiving has been just downright amazing. he's just been able to really carry the team. And towards the beginning of the season, it was a little rough. He couldn't quite hold it in, but and then later in, I remember mentioning that he had like a 98 average yards, just absolutely dominating in these games. Which and then in his apparent in each of these games, he's just been a key player in Texas State's victory. So going into this next game, I think he'll once again be a star player, and whether it might be even the deciding factor of if Texas State wins or loses. All right, so let's go into our next game. Our next game, we're going to be going to soccer. This is Texas State versus ULM, the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. This happened October 8th and was an away game at the Brown Stadium. Unfortunately, it was another loss for Texas State, going 0-5. Texas State loses. Head coach Steve Holman said they broke us down in every component of the game. We had the effort, but it just simply wasn't enough. And really looking at that, ULM they're just an overall better team. They had better teamwork, they had better passing, and they were able to keep that ball in the Texas State side of the field for almost the entirety of the game. And whenever that ball is on your side for so long, you can only defend for so long. So those points to start to add up, stack up, your morale just starts to fall apart, and it's basically end game by their half game. That was really evident, or by the halftime. So um, yeah, so we had Texas State had 2 shots versus ULM's 19 shots, 17 shot difference. That's massive. And Texas State only had 1 shot on goal versus 11 shots on goal for ULM. So not it was just a really rough game to be at. But Texas State, they put in the effort, but just as the coach said, it wasn't quite enough. So what do you guys think about that?
So I think on ULM side, star player was Skylar Place, who was pretty had a big hand in that game. She helped in the 4 ULM goals they had. She had 2 goals and 2 assists, and apparently this was the Warhawks' like largest win of the season to date, apparently. And then as well as I think, yeah, back in like 2019, the Bobcats actually defeated ULM, resulting in a 5-0, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, it was a great game for them, but really bad for us.
Oh, ULM came in hot with 5 goals, which is something you don't hear a lot in soccer. I'm not a big soccer girl myself, but I do know five goals in one game is pretty hectic. But the Bobcats had 2 shots the whole game with one in each half. Victoria Meza putting up a shot early into the game at the 11th minute, and a name I don't believe is heard around a lot in the whole soccer little world is Lucy Hart. She also made a shot attempt at the 83rd minute. Both were unfortunately unsuccessful as ULM goalie Michaela Leo was able to get there before the ball did. But ULM really came and played their game, and the Bobcats really didn't. But all I'm hearing is it's nothing but a chance for the Bobcats to self-reflect and have them brush it off and get ready for James Madison later on this week. I don't know if they went up against them already. Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke.
No, I don't believe they have.
No? All right. Well, that good for them. I mean, you're going up against a tougher team, and I know it's not going to be easy, but you got to keep it rolling. You got to have all gas, no brakes.
Yeah. Going to this last game, it was Texas State versus Coastal Carolina. This was October 5th, so a couple days prior, Texas State won 4-0. And this was like their highest score game that they've ever had because Texas State typically, just with these past couple of games, has a very strong defense, especially with Caitlin Draper as goalie, just absolutely dominating there. But strong defense in their offense really helps out, but they've just not been able to score a whole lot. But going into the Coastal Carolina game, they went 4-0. But then just a couple days later, then it was 0-5. So 2 back-to-back high-scoring games for Texas State that either on end of the field. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's been different compared to previously in the season.
Yeah, and honestly, I just think that the Bobcats just got tired. When you're constantly defending your goal or trying to get the ball back, that's a lot of energy taken up running up and down the field. So, seeing an opponent team could constantly score in points, even though this is a division sport, that hurts. And you get in your head a lot, and you're trained as as an athlete to be able to put those feelings aside and still play your ball. And seeing your opponents cheering and getting happy and scoring 5 goals back to back is crazy. And you're just tired, feelings is all high. So I just overall think that the Bobcats just had a bad game. And next week they're on to bigger and better.
Yeah, so going to our next game, we have Texas State versus James Madison, as you had mentioned earlier. October 13th, this will be an away game at Sonera Park, so a little bit far away, but yeah, that'll be October 13th. And then after that, we have Texas State versus Old Dominion. That'll be October 19th, and that is a home game, so make sure to show support for our Texas State girls out there. This will be at the Bobcat Soccer Complex, so very exciting game there, and so make sure to show up. All right, let's go into our next sport. We're going to be talking about women's tennis, and they're right now in kind of the midway part in the tournament. They're at the ITA Texas Regional Championships at Waco, Texas, at the Herd Tennis Center, and with Baylor hosting. And this tournament goes from October to 12th through the 16th, and so with today being the 13th right now, they've only done one day of the tournament, and they're currently working on their second day of the tournament. And so they are planning on going 56 double pairs and 117 singles participants at this tournament. That's a long tournament. There's a lot of participants. There's a lot of competition, and it'll really be interesting to see how within these next couple of games, or days, that this tournament really develops. And so let's dive into the first day of this tournament. We have Kiana Graham, who advanced to the singles round of the 64 main draw with 2 single wins. Then we have Emily Nyers, who went 1-1 in singles. She was able to win her first game, but ended up losing her second game. And unfortunately, no Texas State doubles team won, losing to either TCU or ACU. And this really going on that theme of Texas State losing week for all around. So really unfortunate in terms of the doubles, but there's really promise shown in the singles that our tennis is playing at. So it'll be interesting to see how this tournament really develops. But that's all we have for the women's tennis tournament happening from October 12th through the 16th. Let's go on to our last sport. Our last sport is going to be volleyball. Texas State played 2 games, both against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, on October 6th and October 7th, back-to-back games, and they were both home games at the Strahan Arena. Let's go into the first game first. This was a Texas State volleyball win, 3-1 W for Texas State, and they did really great. Samantha Wunsch absolutely killing it with 11 kills, 4 blocks. KJ Johnson falling right behind with 10 kills, 3 blocks, and 1 ace. And what do you guys think about this game going into it with a 3-1 win, Texas State?
I think Texas State came out very strong. They were very dominant throughout the 4 sets that we had. Samantha Wunsch, like as you said, came in with 11 kills, crazy, and then Ryan Torres, she came out with this 37 assists, which was crazy. And Jade DeFrey, 6 blocks. I think just Texas State was just on her game this game.
Yeah, the Bobcats did amazing. I feel like the Bobcats is such a great team. They know how to rally and go point for point. Even the head coach, he sits with 85 career wins with the 85-34 record in his 4-year here at Texas State. Like the Bobcats, they have a great team. They have the fans, they play into it as well. Being going to an actual game and watching the girls play and how they get so excited from the crowd just being excited just shows you how much the Bobcats just all love each other and wants to be there and want everyone to win.
Yeah, for sure. Texas, they definitely put up a fight against the Raging Cajuns, but came up short, splitting the 2-game series with 3-2 loss. I know I do want to highlight this game. It was really back and forth, especially in the second set, with both sides hitting below .200 due to some attack errors. The Cajuns were leading the set 20-12, but not for long when the Bobcats battled back and came through to level things out at 23. And unfortunately, Louisiana came up at the end of that set with 32-30. Coach Hewitt did say that he was frustrated. Their libero is really, really good. She had 29 digs. We talked about keeping it away from her, and obviously it just didn't work out in the end. But I think regardless of the loss, I want to give props to Ryan Thotis, like you said, for setting her new career high for assists with 55, and KJ Johnson having her 6th double-double, not to be confused with in and out, or of her Texas State career with 16 kills and 10 digs. And then with Southern Miss coming up, I know the Bobcats will spike back and definitely get the sweep that they deserve.
Yeah, and so let's go into Samantha Wunsch, just been an absolute star player. And it was really interesting because at the beginning of this season, we had KJ Johnson was always the star player every single time, just absolutely killing it, always having the most kills, always having the most blocks. But within these last couple of games, with last week and the week before that being James Madison, and then now going up against Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Samantha Wunsch has just been star player. She's kind of like overtaken that role, and it's really clear that she's just been able to get those kills, and she's just been able to really hold in the team, be that center player that the team really needs. And through her, this team is able to really have amazing teamwork. And through that, they were able to come with a 3-1 set win. Let's go into like a little bit more of the details. We have kills, 46-46 tie, which is very interesting, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later with this next game. Errors, Texas State was 16 to LA 27, and then blocks was Texas State 13, LA 6. So overall, LA just had more errors, wasn't able to keep up their defense quite as strong, and Texas State took advantage of that. And through that, they were able to win. And yeah. All right, let's go into the second game with Texas State versus the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, October 7th. Once again, a home game at the Strahan Arena. This was a loss. And so it's very interesting because in the Sun Belt, we've not really seen any wins into losses against the same team. It's typically either win both games or you lose both games. And we've not really seen a middle ground. And this is same with other teams. It's typically to staying with even numbers, but going to this game, they actually lost with a 2-3 set difference, and with Samantha Wunsch once again carrying it with 25 kills, this being a career high, and then 3 blocks, and then KJ Johnson once again falling behind with 16 kills and 3 blocks. So with them losing this game 2-3 sets, what do you think the difference was between them winning and then losing against the same team just the next day?
Yeah, I just think that Bobcats just has football just have to execute on those last few points. I wouldn't say the girls will get cocky because I feel like all of our players are great players. But you win a team the first day, you're gonna come into the next game and think we're about to win again. You can't go in with that mindset and think it's gonna be the same results. You have to go in with the mindset of this is a team. We need to win, and that's just that. And I just think that's what it just came down to with the Bobcats. They just let Louisiana just come up overtop them in his last game.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they just got to be humble the whole time. Just because you came off of like, same goes with each team. Just because you came off of a loss and you're like, real pumped up and everything, you're going into tomorrow's game. You're like, okay, like light work, we're gonna beat them again. You got to come in humble. You got to be like, okay, it's a new matchup, it's a fresh team. You don't know what's gonna happen, regardless of what happened the night before. And I mean, the Bobcats just really got that through their head, kind of a little bit. With the 3-2 loss and the 3-1 win. But I mean, at the end of the day, these girls are good. They do have that, I feel, what's the word? Like, they have the right, I guess, to be like, yeah, we're good. Because really speaking,
They are good.
they really are good. They're absolutely amazing. They've
Yeah,
been
they've been killing
dominating
it
it
this season.
this whole season.
Yeah, absolutely. And so going into finer details once again, we have the kills with the totals being Texas State at 67, and LA also being at 67, which is very interesting. Once again, another tied game in terms of overall points. Once again, that game before was 46-46. So it's very interesting. It's not been like one team absolutely taking control and dominating the game. It's been a very close game throughout, and being a tie game. So it's really this second game, Louisiana Raging Cajuns were able to get those points where they counted, and through those points they were able to, though they might have lost 2 sets and lost hard in those sets, with those wins they were able to absolutely destroy in those set wins, and with that Louisiana was able to have that W. Texas State volleyball is right now at a 10-7 for the season, so very positive, doing really great. And then the Sun Belt, they're at 3-3, so 3 wins, 3 losses for the Sun Belt Conference. So they're kind of going in even grounds. They had a couple weeks back, they had some rough losses, but other than that, they've been really doing great this Sun Belt, and it's going to be interesting to see how. I believe they're going to be going up against some really tough opponents these next couple of weeks, because there are some really great key factors in the Sun Belt Conference that will really be showing up and popping up. And then, So do you guys have anything else you would like to add about this volleyball game?
Overall, I just want to comment on all the Bobcats in general. I feel like this year, 2023, 2024, we do have great teams. Like each one of our sports have a great team, have great coaches, and I feel like that Texas State fans have realized that, and they're coming to support the games more, which is helping those Bobcats, stay in their groove and help win. And so, just this week, it's just been a bad week. Everybody took a loss, and that's fine. Dust ourselves off and just get back together so we can get into the next win, the next game.
I definitely agree with Jasmine. I mean, this school year for the Bobcats, the 2023-2024, it has completely taken a turn from the last school year's, record and season throughout every sport. Some were dominating, some were not, unfortunately. And this year, we definitely turned that around, starting with Texas State football. We got new coach DJ Kenny, and then we got a new, I believe, offensive coordinator as well. And, we have players like TJ Finley, Ismail Mahdi, Joey Hober, Brian Holloway. You got people popping off that they've never done before. And then same goes with volleyball. We got Samantha Wunsch, Ryan Torres, all these outstanding players, yeah, most definitely. And I think this year is like their year, and like Jasmine said, it's just a bad week. Fall's coming around, the weather's making everyone gloomy, whatever, XYZ. But most definitely, I cannot wait to see what the rest of the semester and the spring sports have to bring.
Yeah, yeah. Going to that, just kind of add on. I mean, we've been doing great this season, and this is really the first week that we really had this season for Texas State, where they've kind of just lost a lot all around. And so this is kind of a first for Texas State. But going into like past years, it was a more common occurrence. So to be able to make it over like halfway through this first semester with like no like heavy loss weeks, that's very impressive. And so great job all around to all the Texas State sports, all the people that are involved, and once again to all the people that are just participating or going to these events and cheering on Texas State. And it's really through all these factors, Texas State has really been able to do so well. And it's really exciting to see where this will kind of end up and really lead into. Yeah, so next up we have going to volleyball for their next games. This will be Texas State versus Southern Miss. This will be October 13th and 14th. So it's going to be another doubles game. It'll be interesting to see how they're able to perform. This will be an away game at Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And right now, Southern Miss, just a little bit of stats about them. They're also 7-10, or they're 7-10 compared to Texas State volleyball is at 10-7, so they're 7-10. So kind of flip those numbers around. And then they're 2-4 for the Sun Belt Conference. So they're on a little bit of a losing streak against some of these really amazing schools out there that are competing in the Sun Belt Conference. But I think Texas State, just predictions, I think they'll be able to win. And I have really no doubt about that. I think though they might have lost against the Texas State Louisiana Raging Cajuns, I think that was more of just a unfortunate event, but I don't think that'll be a common occurrence for the Southern Miss game.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Southern Miss is 2-4 in the Sun Belt, and Texas State Bobcats are 3-3. So the last time we had met, which was last year, the Bobcats definitely beat Southern Miss by a long shot. They went 3-1, and then the previous year before that, they did 3-0. So coming into this week, I feel like they definitely have a bigger advantage, but probably, things are going to switch up just because it's a home game for Southern Miss. Everyone says, their home team plays better at their home field. So we're going to have to see that matchup coming up soon.
All right, so let's go into like a recap of what games are going to be coming up within this next week. So first up, we have the Texas State soccer plays James Madison. This will be October 13th. After that, we have Texas State volleyball versus the Southern Miss playing October 13th and 14th. This will be a home game, or I'm sorry, that's an away game. Then after that, we have Texas State football versus the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks, October 14th at 6 p.m. That will be a home game. Make sure to participate in that. Reminder, Whack and Black. So wear all your black clothing to that. It'll be really exciting to see really the stands all the fans be able to like really show their encouragement, and it'll be an exciting game to go to. I can't wait for that.
Take back Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after that, we have the Texas State tennis at the ITA Texas Regional Championships. That will be continuing on up until October 16th. In Waco, Texas. And then finally, we have Texas State versus Old Dominion, October 19th, home game at the Bobcat Soccer Complex. We haven't had a home game for soccer in a little bit, so it's going to be exciting to see them come back to home field at the Bobcat Soccer Complex and really see how well they're able to perform, because they've been doing really great in these home games. And then also I wanted to add for intramurals. So intramurals are kind of like closed off now, so you can't really become a part of them. But it's really exciting to go to some of these games as a Texas State student and see how are these teams performing? I know I'm participating in a soccer intramurals through crew and having a lot of fun through that. But I also wanted to bring up that even though these are intramural games, these aren't quite as competitive as, for say, a school game. You have to still be safe. We had a injury. Someone was sent to the hospital with a head injury concussion. So even though there are these are intramural games and they're meant to be a lot of fun, keep safety in mind. Wear all the safety equipment that you need, depending on whatever sport, whether it be basketball, whether it be flag football, whether it be volleyball or soccer ball, soccer. So yeah, whatever you're playing, make sure to keep safety in mind because that is very serious, and we don't want to have any more people sent to the hospital because that's the last thing that we want to result from having fun at an intramurals game. So.
Sorry, I'm gonna kind of cut it real quick. Also, more in the big game tomorrow between Texas State and ULM. There is an all blackout at Texas State Bobcat Stadium this Saturday, facilitated by the athletics department. So make sure to wear your black. But students who need to check out anything to wear can visit the Bobcat store or place an order at bobcatshop.com.
All right, and that will conclude us for this episode of the Bobcat Bulletin. And as a reminder, thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Weekly Bobcat Breakdown. And as a reminder, remember to subscribe to the Bobcat Bulletin YouTube channel so that you can stay updated on all things Texas State athletics. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.